Today we're looking at a pretty unique piece of source material.
Very unique.
Yeah, it's not a historical document, not a policy paper. It's this incredibly visceral, really sensory, firsthand narrative.
Right.
It's titled Rules of the Dinosaur Generation, and it just recounts the first terrifying day of survival after the world just utterly changed.
And that's really the key, isn't it? This is not just another survival story. Our mission here is to dig into this account and pull out the 3 essential rules the narrator learned on that first day.
It's like a curriculum.
Exactly. The psychological curriculum for adapting when your entire reality is wiped away. It's pure knowledge transfer from an extreme situation.
And the account just throws you right in. There's no buildup. It doesn't start with, panic or explosion. It starts with just sensory confusion. The narrator wakes up, and the very first thing they note is the sky. It's not blue. It's described as golden, warm, and very big.
And that phrase alone, golden, warm, and very big, tells you everything. It signals a completely alien reality.
Right.
It suggests a different atmosphere, maybe volcanic dust, a different light spectrum. And it's not just visual. The air itself felt heavy, like the world was breathing with me.
Wow.
Yeah. So the pressure, the humidity, the oxygen content, everything is off. The relationship between you and your environment is broken before you even stand up.
It just forces this immediate humility on you.
No.
Okay, so let's unpack that. This new environment and how the sheer scale of it leads to that first crucial rule.
We have to. The environment is the real teacher here.
So the narrator gets to their feet and the physical details are just overwhelming. The ground is soft, it's wet, but it's the plants, the vegetation that really sets the new hierarchy.
Oh, absolutely.
We hear about these immense plants everywhere, trees that were higher than buildings I knew, and get this, leaves that were bigger than my whole body.
And that specific detail about the scale, that's what's so destabilizing. I mean, think about it. We navigate our world using reference points, right? The height of a door, the width of a street. When a single leaf is bigger than you are, all of those reference points are just gone. You are instantly disoriented.
You're like an insect.
Exactly. You're trapped under this enormous biological canopy.
And if the visuals weren't enough, then there's the soundscape, or the lack of a familiar one.
Right.
The source makes a real point of noting the complete absence of human sounds. No cars, no phones, no voices.
Instead, you get this deep, slow, powerful sound that literally shakes the ground. It's the sound of titanic life.
The environment is making a statement.
It is. The narrator is experiencing the sheer mass of this new ecosystem. You've gone from a world of human engineering to a world of deep, slow biological power. That sound tells you you are small.
And that shaking ground leads directly to the first encounter. The source describes seeing a giant dinosaur walking slowly between the trees.
And the specifics here are what drive the first rule home. The creature's existence is just monumental. Rough, dark green skin, a tail moving like a long river. But it's the behavior that's the lesson.
Okay, what do you mean?
It's just eating. It's eating leaves and it's breaking trees like they were paper. It's demonstrating this catastrophic power, but casually.
Right, but it's not directed at the narrator. That's the critical detail, isn't it?
Precisely. The power was accidental. The source says the narrator felt incredibly small, like an ant in a new world.
Yeah.
And the creature, it either didn't see the observer or, and this is far more terrifying, it just didn't register them as relevant.
Indifference.
Indifference from something that can crush you without noticing is a much more powerful lesson than, direct malice.
So you have this creature with total casual destructive power, and it doesn't even know you exist.
Yeah.
What does that boil down to? What's the first rule of survival?
It boils down to the immediate rejection of the old world's hierarchy. In our world, humans are at the top. Here, they're incidental.
So the rule is?
The first rule burned into their mind on day one is, you are not the boss here.
That sounds simple, but the implication is just massive. It's not just about being scared. It's about recognizing your own total insignificance.
It governs every single thing you do next. If you are not the boss, you cannot afford to be loud. You can't run around. You can't build a big fire.
All of those actions assume someone is coming to help you.
Exactly. They assume a human-centric system. If you try to act like the boss here, if you panic, if you aggress, you're just wasting energy and attracting the notice of the actual powers that be. The rule forces caution, humility.
Which sets the stage perfectly for the next section. The constant, unrelenting tension of just trying to move.
Right.
Every step feels like a risk. Every sound means you have to freeze. It's sensory overload as a constant state of being.
And that is so brutal on the mind. Think about the details they give. Even the birds were bigger, stronger. Their wings made loud wind sounds.
The narrator says they missed silence.
Of course, that continuous heavy soundtrack of threat means your brain is just burning through resources. You're living in this exhausting state of high alert.
And that psychological pressure leads us right to the river, the water encounter, where instinct just has to take over.
The immediate physical need, thirst, it grounds them for a moment. But before the next crisis hits, we get this really profound moment of reflection.
Right, they kneel down at the water.
They see their reflection and they recognize their own face, but they note that the eyes looked older.
And that's the proof of the trauma, isn't it? The first day isn't even over, but the stress has already aged them internally.
It's the physical manifestation of that psychological duress. And then that reflection is just violently interrupted.
The spaghetti lash.
A loud, explosive disturbance from the water. This is the moment of direct, unavoidable threat. This is the test.
A dinosaur head comes out of the river.
Yeah.
Sharp teeth and cold eyes, focus right on the narrator. And all the old rules, negotiating, reasoning.
Useless. You can't reason with cold, sharp teeth.
No.
And this is where the source gives us this brilliant insight into pure reaction. The normal human response is fight or flight, right? But the narrator's body chose a third option.
Freeze.
Freeze. They didn't run, they didn't scream, they just stayed utterly still.
But wait a minute. The second rule is survive first, think later. That sounds like pure impulse. But the text says they remembered a quote from their grandfather.
When the world is bigger than you, respect it.
Yeah. So isn't recalling a lesson a form of thinking? How does that fit?
That's a great point. And it highlights the nuance of rule 2. It's not about being mindless. It's about a hyper-efficient learned behavior that cuts out all the slow, complex processing.
Like a mental shortcut.
Exactly. In a crisis, the brain needs shortcuts that, quote, acts as a preloaded instruction set. Threat is bigger than you. Action equals stillness. That stillness is the respect that Rule 1 demands.
So the freeze, which was informed by that deep-seated respect, leads directly to the second rule.
It does. The creature stares, it perceives no threat, no challenge, and it slowly retreats back into the water.
And the tactical realization is?
The second rule of survival in the dinosaur generation is survive first, think later.
It prioritizes immediate action over careful planning, because planning takes time you just don't have.
You don't. Because thinking takes energy, and it requires data, which is always incomplete in a new environment. If you stop to figure out the optimal strategy, you're already lunch. This rule says to trust your body's fastest, most primal responses.
As long as those responses are informed by the humility of Rule 1.
That's the key.
Okay, so moving on from that high-stress moment, the narrative shifts. The sun starts to set.
And the environment becomes even more hostile. The light changes, the forest turns orange and red, shadows get long, they start distorting things.
The terror of the day is now amplified by the anticipation of night.
Right, the sounds get worse. More roars, more footsteps, more danger. Darkness in a world of massive predators is, it's like the ultimate existential threat.
So it's find shelter or die.
Find shelter or die. And they find a small cave. It smells old, which is a risk, but it's safety. And it's in that moment of relative safety that the real weight of it all just settles in.
The psychological crucible, as you called it.
Yeah. Inside the cave, listening to the sounds of the night, they finally process the loss. Phones, lights, people, all gone. It's that moment of deep, irreversible mourning for an entire reality.
And the first night is just brutal. Little sleep, the ground shakes, roars that echo like thunder.
Yes, and enduring that is the key to the final transformation. The narrator notes that while they were afraid, they also felt alive in a new way.
That's the pivot.
That's the pivot. They've moved past the initial shock, the trauma. They're not a victim waiting for rescue anymore. They're an emergent survivor, starting to feel the power of their own resilience.
They made it through the worst the day could throw at them. And the sun comes up.
And that's the resolution. The sun rose again, the dinosaurs are still walking, the world is still hostile, but they survived the night. And that forges the final rule.
A rule that moves beyond just tactics and into long-term adaptation.
Right. It encapsulates the commitment you need to turn a disaster into a viable existence.
So what is that ultimate rule?
It's an acknowledgement of the new reality, but it's coupled with a declaration of intent. The rule is, this is not my world, but it can be my home if I learn.
If I learn. That's the condition.
That's everything. It's the most complex rule because it requires conscious effort. It shifts you from reactive defense to proactive education. Your survival now depends entirely on your willingness to become a student of this new world.
That's a phenomenal way to tie it all together. So let's recap those 3 rules for everyone listening as a kind of path to adaptation.
Absolutely. The path starts with mindset. Rule 1, the necessary humility. You are not the boss here.
That dictates caution and stealth.
Which then enables the immediate tactical response of Rule 2, survive first, think later, which prioritizes just staying alive.
And finally, after you endure the stress and accept the loss, you get to Rule 3, the commitment to long-term adaptation, making it your home if I learn.
You know, if we broaden this out, this story is really a manual for coping with any major disruptive change.
We might not be facing literal dinosaurs, but, rapid tech shifts, career changes, cultural upheavals, they can all put you in a new hierarchy where you are suddenly not the boss.
Absolutely. Think about adapting to radical AI development. That technology is the giant dinosaur. If you approach it like you're the boss, resistant, refusing to change, you fail Rule 1 and you're going to be left behind.
The success goes to the people who accept the new rules and immediately start learning.
It's that shift from entitlement to humility and deep learning that's essential whenever your environment just fundamentally outscales your previous experience.
Right.
And the account ends on this really provocative note. It just says, it was only the beginning. They've established the 3 anchors for survival on day 1. But now that condition from Rule 3, if I learn, has to be fulfilled.
Yeah.
Which raises an important question for you, the listener, to think about. What is the first practical piece of curriculum the survivor absolutely must learn on day 2? To put that idea of if I learn into action.
What's the first lesson?
What's the first lesson? Is it identifying a source of clean food? Is it finding a permanent water supply? Or is it maybe recognizing the specific feeding patterns or territory markings of the predators in the area? The knowledge application starts now.